be doors.
Okay, now we know who'll be escorting the president into the room. Rick Klein, I want to stay with you as you were talking about, and we were talking about the fact that President Trump has had a chance to pick a posse around him that is of no opposition, like we were talking from last time around when he had to relieve many people of their duties because they just weren't doing what he wanted them to do. He has clearly picked people that he knows will not challenge him and will take his orders. And as we have seen, even pulling Elon Musk into the mix. But if you look at the approval ratings, he may have won this election. He may have a cabinet around him that he has handpicked. But if you look at approval ratings, he's struggling.
Yeah, there's a lot of anxiety out there, and I'm curious if that's acknowledged in any way, shape, or form in the president's speech tonight, that he's going to paint a pretty rosy portrait of his first 40-something days. But a lot of people in that chamber, members of Congress and people that have lost their jobs through the efforts of the Department of Government Efficiency, are feeling uncertain right now. And just looking at the events of the last couple of days, look at the chaos that ensued after the Zelensky Oval Office meeting, the turmoil in the markets and in world affairs with the imposition of tariffs. There are so many fronts where there is massive uncertainty at this moment. And it is reflected in the polling. Donald Trump is doing better in the polls than he did during much of his first term, but that isn't to say that he's a runaway winner right now. A lot of people are skeptical of his leadership and skeptical of the direction that the country's heading in overall.
Elizabeth Schulze, I'll let you follow up on that as we talk about anxiety and fear. Much of that may not be about a war in Ukraine or a trade war over tariffs. It's just your everyday American that's paying twice as much for eggs right now and can't even fill up the gas in their car. And then if you talk to federal workers that are getting fired by the day, there's where that fear is coming from.
Kira, we know that uncertainty over the economy and the unease over persistently high prices is what essentially propelled Donald Trump to the White House. It's something that he promised to address on day one. And so many households are hoping and expecting that is a promise he can deliver on. They are seeing those record high prices at the grocery store. They see persistently high costs for day-to-day expenses like rent, and they want to see what can the government do to lower those prices and what can be done on a larger scale to make the cost of living more affordable, whether it's from Congress or from President Trump himself.
And when they just announced, we
Hit that like button, subscribe, comment.
Enter in. Do we want to pause and listen in for a moment?
Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, man. It's raining outside, man. The power been going on and off.
All right, as we watch the members of the Supreme Court now enter into the chamber, Selena Wang, I just want to take a question to you. We've got word there are protesters outside the Capitol there in support of Ukraine. That is one question being asked tonight. Now,
If you want to support Ukraine and stand with Ukraine, how about you take your ass to Ukraine? Get the fuck from over here.
We could hear
Well, we can do without you.
tonight. Well, we know that the Trump administration has been working towards this, and we saw from the statement from Zelensky today, Kira, that after that disastrous Oval Office meeting, he very much wants to repair this relationship. He was heaping praise on the president, saying he admires his strong leadership, that Ukraine is willing to work with the United States as quickly as possible to bring this war to an end.
Because Zelensky want to come back and apologize now.
That is enough to move President Trump. We are seeing this pretty dramatic rupture in relations between wartime allies. We're talking about the U.S. pausing.
Hit the like button, subscribe, comment. What you think about Donald Trump?
In fact, a Ukrainian intelligence official tells us that the impact of that freeze could be felt in 2 weeks and that the ammunition shortage could get very serious during the summer. Now, White House officials have told me that they believe Zelensky was disrespectful, that he was ungrateful in that Oval Office meeting. Zelensky very much trying to right that ship and make sure that hopefully this aid can be unpaused, Kira. Jay O'Brien, a minute and 30 away from the president's speech.
Get your liquor ready.
He will enter the chamber, the same chamber where 4 years ago
Might need
we
a
saw
shot after
mega
this
supporters desecrate democracy. Now he is the president of the United States, and he'll be making that address before the nation. The whole country will be watching, because it's everything from domestic to international issues that he will be talking about, as we are about to hear from the president in about a minute and 6 seconds. Tell me what you're thinking about, and how do you think he'll start?
Yeah, keep an eye on two things tonight, Kira. First, obviously, in addition to what Trump says, keep an eye on what Democrats do in that chamber, the signs of resistance they show, whether they're audible or silent, the colors they're wearing, etc. And also keep an eye on Elon Musk. He's going to get the bulk of the attention in that room, in addition to President Trump, because of the outsized role he's playing. Musk, remember, riding in the motorcade with Trump on his way over here from the White House, not in the Beast, the presidential limousine as we first thought, but in the motorcade, sitting there in the chamber in a prominent place, in a prominent role in this administration, unlike one we've seen in decades in this country. So in addition to the words coming out of President Trump's mouth, watch Elon Musk in that room too.
O'Brien, thank you. Minutes away now from the start of the presidential address to Congress. We hand it over now to our David Muir and team. Stay with us. Our live coverage continues.
Tonight, President Trump's address to a joint session of Congress, his message to the American people and the world. And the stakes could not be higher. ABC News live coverage begins right now.
Tonight, on the 44th day of his presidency, with so much at stake, right here at home and across the globe, President Donald J. Trump, before a joint session of Congress, the American people, and the world. This is an ABC News special, the presidential address to the nation and the Democratic response. Now reporting from Washington, David Muir.
And good evening tonight from the nation's capital. We are just moments away from President Trump's address to the joint session of Congress and the American people. And make no mistake,
Look,
the world will be
hit the
watching
comment
this
button
address
if you
to
fuck with
Congress
Donald
as well,
Trump.
perhaps closer than it has in years, simply because of the news already made. In
Y'all
these
comment what
first
y'all
34
think about
days
Donald Trump,
of
man.
President Trump's presidency. New tariffs, obviously the economy has moved on these tariffs in just the last 24 hours, and the Dow's response. The president's approach to the world, our allies, our adversaries, the Oval Office meeting with President Zelensky of Ukraine. We're told the theme of tonight's address will be the renewal of the American dream.
We're almost 30 seconds away from, there you go. But now this way at the house.
To Capitol Hill, returning to the chamber for the
About
first
30
time
seconds
since the
away from him
2024
speech, man.
election. The president and his party in control of Washington. Republicans are, of course, in control of the House and the
Tonight,
Senate. With thin
sponsored by
majorities,
Tequila.
unequal
I can't show you the
majorities
name because they ain't
nonetheless.
gave me no money
In
for this
just
shit.
6 weeks since the start of the second Trump presidency, the new administration has attempted aggressive downsizing of the federal government, led, of course, by Elon Musk and his team. The administration laying off thousands of government employees, targeting some federal agencies, including USAID, the CDC, NOAA, among others. Elon Musk is in the chamber tonight as we look at live pictures of the chamber. Rachel Scott is also there. And Rachel, there he is, Elon Musk, special government employee.
And he is the president's most powerful senior advisor. Billionaire Elon Musk is now in this chamber. He is still standing on his feet right near the First Lady's box. We have learned that he was in the presidential motorcade. He did enter this chamber to some applause. Some Republicans eager to get his attention on the House floor, one even holding up a sign saying DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, rocks. Clearly, some in the room here disagree. And this is striking, David, because many of the attendees tonight, some of the guests are fired federal workers, people who have been impacted by the Department of Government Efficiency and the efforts to shrink the size of the federal government. David, the president says tonight he's going to tell it like it is, but really make no mistake about it, this is President Donald Trump's Washington.
Trump
He has the
finna tell it
majority
like
of the
it is
House, the
tonight,
Senate, a
man.
conservative-leaning Supreme Court. This is a Republican Party that is made almost entirely in his image, David.
Rachel Scott in the chamber for us. First Lady Melania Trump arriving, and we know that Elon Musk is in the First Lady's box. She has several guests tonight, which we will get to over the course of this evening. President Trump expected, obviously, to point out the First Lady in the chamber, as well as the reasons for her guests being there. Elon Musk not far from the First Lady. Rachel Scott talking about the balance of power in Washington. You saw that cutaway there just a moment ago of Speaker Johnson and Vice President J.D. Vance, Mary Bruce, Republican Speaker of the House, obviously J.D. Vance, the Vice President. But Donald Trump has a Republican Party right now that's in control of both the House and the Senate.
And you are going to see that full Republican power on display here tonight. It will be quite remarkable to see the president, unlike we did before during his first term, to come in, and I believe we may be getting close to that moment, David.
The House Sergeant at Arms.
Speaker, the president's cabinet.
The president's cabinet now entering the room, and Mary, you've covered this every step of the way. His cabinet nominees, by and large, the vast majority of them getting nominated and accepted by the Senate.
And again, a sign of just how behind him this party is. Of course, the president there appointing many. There you see Marco Rubio, you see the Treasury Secretary behind him. I believe that's Pete Hegseth entering as well, all shaking hands. Despite, I think, a lot of what were initially seen as controversial picks for his cabinet, all of them ultimately sailing through because the party is in such lockstep behind him. And many of these people, of course, in his cabinet are those who have shown themselves to be deeply loyal to Donald Trump, willing to do anything to support his agenda, David.
Pete Hegseth, RFK Jr., the Health and Human Services Secretary, and Martha Raddatz. Pete Hegseth faced a battle there for a while. It looked somewhat questionable. So did RFK Jr.'s nomination, but Republicans, by and large, stood by this president with these thin majorities and got these nominees across the finish line.
Exactly, David.
Hit the like
took
button,
a while,
comment,
especially
subscribe,
with
man.
Pete Hegseth. There was some reporting
Like
about
button,
his
comment,
past
subscribe,
and assumed or charged,
Donald
not
Trump
charged
speech,
with a sexual assault, but there were reports that he denied, obviously, but he got through just barely, and it took J.D. Vance to get him through. Of course, he's a Fox News personality. He was a major in the military, served
storming
in
outside,
Iraq,
man. All the power just went out,
and used those credentials very fulsomely.
Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security. Rachel Scott was embedded with the team today with ICE and the FBI as they raided a local community in Virginia, continuing to make arrests across the country in implementing the president's plan on immigration. And when you look at this cabinet, John, the sweeping nature of his choices, President Trump approached this second time around very differently from the first. This was about loyalty. This was about getting the picks that he wanted, and he got them there.
David, this second Trump presidency is in many ways entirely different from the first. You know, first, he comes into Washington. He comes into this with something he can claim as a mandate. He won the popular vote. He obviously didn't win the popular vote the first time around. It was a more decisive electoral college victory. He was new to Washington last time. He is certainly no longer new to Washington. And yes, this cabinet is stacked with people who are personally loyal to Donald Trump, as is his West Wing. He wasn't relying on outside advice on how to pick. He wasn't picking people that he had only recently met. These are people who are not going to take action to block Bobby Kennedy Jr. I mean, Bobby Kennedy Jr., I've known for some 30 years. Bobby Kennedy Jr., of course, from one of the most famous Democratic families in American history. Bobby Kennedy Jr. endorsed Donald Trump and was rewarded with the Health and Human Services Secretary post. And interestingly, not a single Democrat voted to confirm
so bad outside.
Bobby Kennedy.
It was an extraordinary scene to witness, and not only that, but several members of the Kennedy family spoke out against RFK Jr. and this nomination, including Ambassador Caroline Kennedy, who waited till the very last moment before she stepped in to make her opinion known that she did not believe that her cousin should be secretary, but he is secretary nonetheless. And his first major challenge could be the measles outbreak that we've seen in West Texas and cases popping up elsewhere in the country. J.D. Vance, Speaker Johnson, laughing about something there at the front of the chamber there. Lindsey Davis is also with us here in the studio tonight. And Lindsey, a lot of eyes will also be on the Democrats inside that chamber. And there has been a lot of debate about whether or not they have any sort of cohesive response as of yet to what they've seen in these first 44 days.
Sure, a number of Democrats have said that they're absolutely not going to even show up tonight. Some have said that they're going to wear black as a symbol of this being a somber evening. Several women have said that they're going to wear pink. Many people doing kind of different versions of protests. But look, the stock market is down, inflation is up. Donald Trump has said he's going to tell it like it is tonight. We have to wonder if he's going to really touch on those issues in the first 44 days. It has been a dizzying time, right? He's signed at least 76 executive orders. There are about 100 lawsuits that are pushing back on some of those. But this is more activity than we've seen in any other American president in their first 100 days in more than 40 years. And we're talking about a wide variety, from paper straws in federal agencies being banned to mandating that this country only recognize two genders with males and females. But I think that ultimately he has to break through to the American people why tariffs are so important to him, at one point calling him his favorite word, but potentially at the expense of the American people.
These tariffs that he warned were coming, in fact, went into effect at midnight last night, imposing the tariffs on our neighbors, Canada and Mexico, and additional tariffs on China. Tonight, Canada has responded. The Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, with retaliatory tariffs against American goods now going to Canada. And he said directly to the American people today, your government is doing this to you. We didn't want this. He made that very clear. He said this was a dumb thing to do. Legendary investor Warren Buffett has reached the consensus over the last couple of days that he believes that tariffs are, in effect, an act of war. He said with a chuckle, but you could tell he was questioning the impact of these tariffs if and when they were, in fact, implemented. And Mary Bruce, as you just heard from Lindsay, we saw this swing on the Dow 2 days in a row over these tariffs, down some 1,300 points in 2 days. And the president knows that. The American people are watching tonight. The question is, will he explain why he's done this and why he's doing it now? What he thinks this temporary pain that he has spoken about, how long it lasts, and why it's worth it for the American people.
This is a chance for the president, in front of the largest audience that he's likely to have this year, certainly, to offer some clarity as to why he is doing this and what Americans should be bracing for. He is well aware, certainly, that many Americans supported him because of the economy. He promised to bring down prices on day one. We haven't seen that yet, and now you hear from experts and economists warning the opposite, that these tariffs may actually raise prices on Americans. And the president has said, this is just the beginning, that he's willing to go even further, that countries that put tariffs on us, well, he's going to tariff them right back. We did also, though, hear from his Commerce Secretary earlier today saying the president may be looking for ways to meet in the middle. I think, David, this speaks to some of the confusion that Americans have about what this means. And the president tonight needs to really offer a clear explanation of why he feels placing these stinging tariffs on our largest trading partners is necessary. So far, we've seen a range of explanations from him. Will he be able tonight to clarify that for the American people and get them on board? And will he brace them to pay a price for all of this?
They're running a couple of minutes behind here. The president expected to enter this chamber at any moment, and the moment it happens, we'll go to the House Sergeant at Arms announcing the President of the United States. As Mary points out, he'll likely talk about the economy, about his move on tariffs tonight, even with some of our closest allies. Certainly with China as well. China retaliating against the U.S. tonight. Mexico saying they'll retaliate by Sunday in response. And Mary, as you point out, economists across the board have said, remember these tariffs, it's the American businesses and companies bringing these products in that pay the tariff when those products arrive. And in many cases, those companies then pass those additional costs to the American consumer. And John Carl, we saw it just today as we keep our eyes trained on this live picture, that retailers from Best Buy to Target are warning American consumers that prices could rise and quickly here.
Automobile manufacturers are warning them that even cars made in the United States are made largely with parts that are imported from Canada and from Mexico. If you're worried about the price of eggs, we have eggs that come in from Canada, dairy that comes in from Canada. Look, this is a big gamble for this president. And we've seen how the markets have reacted. We've seen anxiety from businesses, large and small, in the country. But David, I think it's important to say, this is exactly what Donald Trump promised to do during the campaign. He spoke over and over and over again about what he thought could be accomplished with tariffs. At times, he talked about tariffs of 20%, 25%, 100%. Was that a speech where he talked about 200% tariffs that he could do? So this is not a surprise, but it certainly has caused anxiety.
You can hear the gavel. Let's listen in.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
William McFarland, the House Sergeant at Arms. announcing President Trump's return to that chamber. He has not been here for an address to Congress. We later in the presidency, of course, we'll call it the State of the Union, but it's called an address to a joint session of Congress for presidents in their first month or two, because there hasn't been a lot of time to preside over the Union. Although some would say in these first 44 days, and Lindsay made the point, it has been a dizzying number of actions taken by the president. You have to wonder if that's going to be a defining sort of move for presidents who come after President Trump to act more quickly in these first initial days. It's also a sign that this president has done this before. He fought for re-election. He won the election, both the popular vote and the Electoral College. And Rachel Scott, he got right to work. He picked people who he knew would be loyal to him. He had a plan, and as John Carl said, he campaigned on these issues, and he got to work on them.
Right away, David, and he's faced very little resistance from Republicans, and this is the divide in Washington that we are seeing play out right here inside of this chamber. Of course, you have Republicans that are rushing to greet the president on the aisles. You have Democrats that are staying seated sort of in protest here as he makes his way down. It is remarkable. The last time that the president stood at this podium, he had just been acquitted in his first impeachment trial. Democrats had just begun their 2020 presidential primary. COVID wasn't even at its peak yet in the United States, and here we are. The president now returning here to this House chamber, speaking to this joint session of Congress after surviving 2 attempted assassinations. And yes, this is his Washington with control and the majority in both chambers of Congress. He has moved very quickly in a way that's almost dizzying even to some Republicans. Even they acknowledge that the president moving at lightning speed, David, to get things done.
And Rachel, talk to me about the challenge that the Democrats now face and how to respond to this. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The Republicans are in control. Thin majorities, as I mentioned, in the House and the Senate, but they do control Washington at this point. And this president, at least for the 44 days, actions, comes this address to a joint session, and perhaps we'll try to make the case on things to work together on. But as you pointed out, you're looking around the room, many Democrats aren't even standing.
And that's what I'm looking for tonight, David. Does the president appeal to Democrats from across the aisle to try to suggest something that they could work on together, some sort of bipartisanship? As you mentioned, he moved forward with a slew of executive actions from his very first day inside of the Oval Office. The big question here for Democrats, what exactly can they do? And this is something that they are struggling with internally. They really do not have a coherent message. Democratic leaders will even tell you that they don't have the majority.
Democrats can't do shit.
So much so that they're actually considering whether or not they want to leverage a possible government shutdown in just 10 days and a way to push back against some of the efforts from the Department of Government Efficiency and Elon Musk and the Trump administration. We'll have to see if they go forward with that. But Democrats, they are keenly aware of what they are up against here. They are having some challenges figuring out a way to confront it, but they're also keenly aware that the president won on the issues, right? We're talking about the economy and immigration. Of course, 2 things the president is expected to focus on tonight, David.
Rachel, thank you as we watch as the president greets members of not only the Supreme Court, but the military, and big changes at the Pentagon, Martha. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs out in just the last couple of days.
One of the first things he said he wanted to do was get rid of woke generals. Pete Hegseth said the same thing, Secretary of Defense. He fired General C.Q. Brown, just about ready to speak there, and also the Chief of Naval Operations. So some of those people are unfamiliar there tonight.
Chants of USA inside the chamber. Handing a copy of the speech to Speaker Johnson. Of course, you'll remember the years when former Speaker Nancy Pelosi was standing behind him, no longer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, the First Lady of the United States, members of the United States Congress, thank you very much. And to my fellow citizens, America is back.
Motherfucker. The boy say we back, bitch. You stand on that business. Fuck, nigga. Look at them Democrats sitting down.
6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
I had no power all night. The power went out, man. If you tuned in right now, man, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, man. The power is out. It's storming outside, the wind blowing crazy.
I returned to this chamber tonight to report that America's momentum is
like,
back.
comment, subscribe.
Our
man.
spirit is back. Our
I want to
pride
read
is
y'all
back.
comments.
Our confidence is back. And the American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before. The American dream is unstoppable, and our country is on the verge of a comeback, the likes of which the world has never witnessed and perhaps will never witness again. There's never been anything like it. The presidential election of November 5th was a mandate like has not been seen in many decades. We won all 7 swing states, giving us an electoral college victory of 312 votes. We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country.
But them Democrats trying to hate them out. It's one side cheering, one side not.
And won counties in our country, 2,700 to 525, on a map that reads almost completely red for Republican.
Turn up, nigga.
Now, for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. In fact, it's an astonishing record, 27-point swing, the most ever. Likewise, Small business optimism saw its single largest one-month gain ever recorded, a 41-point jump.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning.
Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant at Arms to restore order to the joint session.
Get them out. Get them the fuck out of here. Fuck, nigga. Immigrant.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat.
Get them the fuck out of here.
Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant at Arms to restore order.
Get them the fuck out of here.
Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Get them the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, nigga. Get him the fuck out of here. Fuck, nigga. You don't run shit, bitch. I don't even know who that fuck nigga is, man. That fuck nigga corrupt. I know that. Get him the fuck out of here. Look at Jamie Crockett, bitch ass.
Members are directed to
She got a sign that say must fail.
Decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
Thank you. Over the past 6 weeks, I have signed nearly 100 executive orders and taken more than 400 executive actions, a record to restore common sense, safety, optimism, and wealth all across our wonderful land. The people elected me to do the job, and I'm doing it.
And they just say a bar and they get to clapping. You spin this shit in bars, man. That fuck nigga need to start rapping.
In fact, it has been stated by many that the first month of our presidency, it's our presidency, is the most successful in the history of our nation. By many.
That nigga there, that's an arrogant ass. Look at that boy. Look at him.
And what makes it even more impressive is that, do you know who number 2 is? George Washington. How about that? I don't know about that list, but we'll take it. Within hours of taking the oath of office, I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and I deployed the U.S. military and border patrol to repel the invasion of our country. And what a job they've done. As a result, illegal border crossings last month were by far the lowest ever recorded, ever.
Man, turn up, nigga. Talk a little shit, jit. I'm finna take a shot.
They heard my words and they chose not to come. Much easier that way. In comparison, under Joe Biden, the worst president in American history, there were hundreds of thousands of illegal crossings a month, and virtually all of them, including murderers, drug dealers, gang members, and people from mental institutions and insane asylums, were released into our country. Who would want to do that? This is my 5th such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I'd find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way.
Look at Jeremy Crockett, fuck ass, that funk ass bitch. Bitch, hold your sign up. Bitch, hold your sign up, bitch. Hold your sign up, bitch. That bitch holding up a sign, funk ass.
So Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. They got their hate signs up. Them bitches hating from afar.
Every day my administration is fighting to deliver the change America needs to bring a future that America deserves, and we're doing it. This is a time for big dreams and bold action. Upon taking office, I imposed an immediate freeze on all federal hiring, a freeze on all new federal regulations, and a freeze on all foreign aid. I terminated the ridiculous Green New Scam. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord, which was costing us trillions of dollars that other countries were not paying. I withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization. And I also withdrew from the anti-American UN Human Rights Council.
That man ain't got no top lip.
We ended all of Biden's environmental restrictions that were making our country far less safe and totally unaffordable. And importantly, we ended the last administration's insane electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto workers and companies from economic destruction. To unshackle our economy, I have directed that for every one new regulation, 10 old regulations must be eliminated, just like I did in my very successful first term. And in that first term, we set records on ending unnecessary rules and regulations like no other president had done before. We ordered all federal workers to return to the office. They will either show up for work in person or be removed from their job.
Get on a funk ass.
And we've ended weaponized government where, as an example, a sitting president is allowed to viciously prosecute his political opponent, like me. How did that work out?
It didn't.
Not too good. Not too good.
That shit didn't work.
And I have stopped all government censorship.
Boy, them Democrats
and brought back
mad, boy.
free speech in America. It's back.
Turn the fuck up. I can say what I want to say again, bitch. Fuck ass.
And 2 days ago, I signed an order making English the official language of the United States of America.
That shit should have been happening 100 years ago, bitch. That's all we know is English.
I renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And likewise, I renamed for a great president, William McKinley, Mount McKinley again. Beautiful Alaska. We love Alaska. We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military. And our country will be woke no longer. We believe that whether you are a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or an air traffic controller, you should be hired and promoted based on skill and competence, not race or gender.
Right.
Very important.
But do you got the skills? I never go try to be an air controller and I don't know shit about it. Fuck, nigga.
You should be hired based on merit. And the Supreme Court, in a brave and very powerful decision, has allowed us to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have removed the poison of critical race theory from our public schools, and I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female,
motherfucker. This is a nigga with a purple wig sitting over there. I know he mad. There you go. He right there. That bitch got a purple wig on, a whole man. Get the fuck out of here, fuck, nigga. You ain't no real man, nigga. You got a pussy.
An executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports.
That shouldn't even be a fucking thing. Men playing in women's sports shouldn't even be a fucking thing. What the fuck? How could you stand on that? How could you stand
3
against
years
that?
ago, Peyton McNabb was an all-star high school athlete, one of the best, preparing for a future in college sports. But when her girls' volleyball match was invaded by a male, he smashed the ball so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury, partially paralyzing her right side and ending her athletic career. It was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it. Peyton is here tonight in the gallery, and Peyton, from now on, schools will kick the men off the girls' team or they will lose all federal funding.
I wish I were there. I'd be drunk.
And if you really want to see numbers, just take a look at what happened in the women's boxing, weightlifting, track and field, swimming, or cycling, where a male recently finished a long-distance race 5 hours and 14 minutes ahead of a woman for a new record by 5 hours. Broke the record by 5 hours. It's demeaning for women, and it's very bad for our country. We're not going to put up with it any longer.
All the Democrats that's not clapping, you dirty bitches. You dirty fuck assholes. Fuck Democrat.
What I've just described is only a small fraction of the common sense revolution that is now, because of us, sweeping the entire world. Common sense has become a common theme, and we will never go back. Never. Never going to let that happen. Among my very highest priorities is to rescue our economy and get dramatic and immediate relief to working families. As you know, we inherited from the last administration an economic catastrophe and an inflation nightmare. Their policies drove up energy prices, pushed up grocery costs, and drove the necessities of life out of reach for millions and millions of Americans. They've never had anything like it. We suffered the worst inflation in 48 years, but perhaps even in the history of our country. They're not sure. As president, I'm fighting every day to reverse this damage and make America affordable again. Joe Biden especially let the price of eggs get out of control. The egg price is out of control, and we're working hard to get it back down. Secretary, do a good job on that. You inherited a total mess from the previous administration. Do a good job. A major focus of our fight to defeat inflation is rapidly reducing the cost of energy. The previous administration cut the number of new oil and gas leases by 95%, slowed pipeline construction to a halt, and closed more than 100 power plants. We are opening up many of those power plants right now. And frankly, we have never seen anything like it. That's why on my first day in office, I declared a national energy emergency. As you've heard me say many times, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any nation on earth, and by far. And now I fully authorize the most talented team ever assembled to go and get it. It's called Drill, Baby, Drill.
I used to be on the other side of the law. Now I'm on the right side of the law. My administration is also working on a gigantic natural gas pipeline in Alaska, among the largest in the world, where Japan, South Korea, and other nations want to be our partner with investments of trillions of dollars each. There's never been anything like that one. It will be truly spectacular. It's all set to go. The permitting is gotten. And later this week, I will also take historic action to dramatically expand production of critical minerals and rare earths here in the USA. To further combat inflation, we will not only be reducing the cost of energy, but will be ending the flagrant waste of taxpayer dollars. And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency. GOES. Perhaps you've heard of it. Perhaps. You heard of those motherfuckers?
Which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight.
You better text, you old bitch.
Thank you, Elon. He's working very hard. He didn't need this. He didn't need this. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Everybody here, even this side, appreciates it, I believe. They just don't want to admit that. Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real. $32 million for a left-wing propaganda operation in Moldova. $10 million for male circumcision in Mozambique. $20 million for the Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. It's a program. $20 million for a program. $1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her? A $3.5 million consulting contract for lavish fish monitoring. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City. He's a real estate developer. He's done very well. $250,000 to increase vegan local climate action innovation in Zambia. $42 million for social and behavior change in Uganda. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well with learning. You know what we're doing. Should use it ourselves. And $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education. The most ever paid, nothing even like it. Under the Trump administration, all of these scams, and they're far worse, but I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about them. They're so bad. Many more have been found out and exposed and swiftly terminated by a group of very intelligent, mostly young people, headed up by Elon, and we appreciate it. We found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. And we've taken back the money and reduced our debt to fight inflation and other things. Taking back a lot of that money. We got it just in time. This is just the beginning. The Government Accountability Office, federal government office, has estimated annual fraud of over $500 billion in our nation, and we are working very hard to stop it. We're going to. We're also identifying shocking levels of incompetence and probable fraud in the Social Security program for our seniors, and that our seniors and people that we love rely on. Believe it or not, government databases list 4.7 million Social Security members from people aged 100 to 109 years old. It lists 3.6 million people from ages 110 to 119. I don't know any of them. I know some people that are rather elderly, but not quite that elderly. 3.47 million people from ages 120 to 129. 3.9 million people from ages 130 to 139. 3.5 million people from ages 140 to 149. And money is being paid to many of them, and we're searching right now. In fact, Pam, good luck. Good luck. You're going to find it. But a lot of money is paid out to people because it just keeps getting paid, and nobody does, and it really hurts Social Security and hurts our country. 1.3 million people from ages 150 to 159, and over 130,000 people, according to the Social Security databases are age over 160 years old. We have a healthier country than I thought, Bobby. Including, to finish, 1,039 people between the ages of 220 and 229, one person between the age of 240 and 249, and one person is listed at 360 years of age. More than 100 years older than our country. But we're going to find out where that money's going, and it's not going to be pretty. By slashing all of the fraud, waste, and theft we can find, we will defeat inflation, bring down mortgage rates, lower car payments and grocery prices, protect our seniors, and put more money in the pockets of American families.
One side cheer, one side not, bro. Them bitches
And
corrupt.
today, interest rates took a beautiful drop, big, beautiful drop. It's about time. And in the near future, I want to do what has not been done in 24 years, balance the federal budget. We're going to balance it. With that goal in mind, we have developed in great detail what we are calling the Gold Card, which goes on sale very, very soon. For $5 million, we will allow the most successful job-creating people from all over the world to buy a path to U.S. citizenship. It's like the green card, but better and more sophisticated. And these people will have to pay tax in our country. They won't have to pay tax from where they came. The money that they've made, you wouldn't want to do that, but they have to pay tax, create jobs. They'll also be taking people out of colleges and paying for them so that we can keep them in our country instead of having them being forced out. Number one, at the top school, as an example, being forced out and not being allowed to stay and create tremendous numbers of jobs and great success for a company out there. So while we take out the criminals, killers, traffickers, and child predators who are allowed to enter our country under the open border policy of these people, the Democrats, the Biden administration, the open border insane policies that you've allowed to destroy our country. We will now bring in brilliant, hardworking, job-creating people. They're going to pay a lot of money, and we're going to reduce our debt with that money. Americans have given us a mandate for bold and profound change. For nearly 100 years, the federal bureaucracy has grown until it has crushed our freedoms, ballooned our deficits, and held back America's potential in every possible way. The nation founded by pioneers and risk takers now drowns under millions and millions of pages of regulations and debt. Approvals that should take 10 days to get instead take 10 years, 15 years, and even 20 years before you're rejected. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have not been showing up to work. My administration will reclaim power from this unaccountable bureaucracy, and we will restore true democracy to America again. And any federal bureaucrat who resists this change will be removed from office immediately. Because we are draining the swamp. It's very simple. and the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over. And the next phase of our plan to deliver the greatest economy in history is for this Congress to pass tax cuts for everybody. They're in there, they're waiting for you to vote. And I'm sure that the people on my right, I don't mean the Republican right, but my right here, I'm sure you're going to vote for those tax cuts, because otherwise I don't believe the people will ever vote you into office. So I'm doing you a big favor by telling you that. But I know this group is going to be voting for the tax cut. Thank you. It's a very, very big part of our plan. We had tremendous success in our first term with it. A very big part of our plan. We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board. And to get urgently needed relief to Americans hit especially hard by inflation, I'm calling for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our great seniors. And I also want to make interest payments on car loans tax deductible, but only if the car is made in America. And by the way, we're going to have growth in the auto industry like nobody's ever seen. Plants are opening up all over the place. Deals are being made. Never seen. That's a combination of the election win and tariffs. It's a beautiful word, isn't it? That, along with our other policies, will allow our auto industry to absolutely boom. It's going to boom. Spoke to the majors today, all three, the top people, and they're so excited. In fact, already numerous car companies have announced that they will be building massive automobile plants in America, with Honda just announcing a new plant in Indiana, one of the largest anywhere in the world. And this has taken place since our great victory on November 5th, a date which will hopefully go down as one of the most important in the history of our country. In addition, as part of our tax cuts, we want to cut taxes on domestic production and all manufacturing. And just as we did before, we will provide 100% expensing. It will be retroactive to January 20th, 2025. And it was one of the main reasons why our tax cuts were so successful in our first term, giving us the most successful economy in the history of our country. First term. We had a great first term. If you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. Other countries have used tariffs against us for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those other countries. On average, the European Union, China, Brazil, India, Mexico, and Canada, have you heard of them? And countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair. India charges us auto tariffs higher than 100%. China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them. And South Korea's average tariff is 4 times higher. Think of that, 4 times higher. And we give so much help militarily and in so many other ways to South Korea, but that's what happens. This is happening by friend and foe. This system is not fair to the United States and never was. And so on April 2nd, I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to be accused of April Fool's Day. That's not, just one day cost us a lot of money. But we're going to do it in April. I'm a very superstitious person. April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in. And whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them. If they do non-monetary tariffs to keep us out of their market, then we will do non-monetary barriers to keep them out of our market. There's a lot of that, too. They don't even allow us in their market. We will take in trillions and trillions of dollars and create jobs like we have never seen before. I did it with China and I did it with others, and the Biden administration couldn't do anything about it because there was so much money they couldn't do anything about it. We have been ripped off for decades by nearly every country on earth, and we will not let that happen any longer. Much has been said over the last 3 months about Mexico and Canada, but we have very large deficits with both of them. But even more importantly, they've allowed fentanyl to come into our country at levels never seen before, killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens and many very young, beautiful people, destroying families. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They are, in effect, receiving subsidies of hundreds of billions of dollars. We pay subsidies to Canada and to Mexico of hundreds of billions of dollars, and the United States will not be doing that any longer. We're not going to do it any longer. Thanks to our America First policies we're putting into place, we have had $1.7 trillion of new investment in America in just the past few weeks. The combination of the election and our economic policies that people of SoftBank, one of the most brilliant anywhere in the world, announced a $200 billion investment. OpenAI and Oracle, Larry Ellison, announced $500 billion investment, which they wouldn't have done if Kamala had won. Apple announced $500 billion investment. Tim Cook called me. He said, I cannot spend it fast enough. It's going to be much higher than that, I believe. They'll be building their plants here instead of in China. And just yesterday, Taiwan Semiconductor, the biggest in the world, most powerful in the world, has a tremendous amount, 97% of the market, announced a $165 billion investment to build the most powerful chips on earth right here in the USA. And we're not giving them any money. Your CHIPS Act is a horrible, horrible thing. We give hundreds of billions of dollars, and it doesn't mean a thing. They take our money and they don't spend it. All that meant to them, we're giving them no money. All that was important to them was they didn't want to pay the tariffs, so they came and they're building, and many other companies are coming. We don't have to give them money. We just want to protect our businesses and our people, and they will come because they won't have to pay tariffs if they build in America. So it's very amazing. You should get rid of the CHIP Act, and whatever's left over, Mr. Speaker, you should use it to reduce debt or any other reason you want to. Our new trade policy will also be great for the American farmer. I love the farmer. Who will now be selling into our home market, the USA,
Trump
because
talking
nobody
that
is
shit,
going to
boy.
be able to compete with you.
Look at the Democrats. And look at the
Because
Democrats.
there's
They over there not
goods that come in
clapping. They
from
not happy.
other companies.
They putting bullshit
companies.
signs talking
They're
about
really
lies
in a
and false
bad
and
position in so many
Elon
different
Musk
ways.
steals
They're
and shut the fuck
uninspected.
up.
They may be very dirty and disgusting, and they come in and they pour in, and they hurt our American farmers. The tariffs will go on agricultural product coming into America, and our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. We had that before when I made the deal with China, $50 billion of purchases, and I said, just bear with me, and they did. They did. Probably have to bear with me again, and this will be even better. That was great. The problem with it was that Biden didn't enforce it. He didn't enforce it. $50 billion of purchases, and we were doing great, but Biden did not enforce it, and it hurt our farmers. But our farmers are going to have a field day right now. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. I love you too. It's all going to happen.
He doing all this shit in a month and a half. He got 4 more years. Man, come on, man.
Also impose a 25% tariff on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and steel, because if we don't have, as an example, steel and lots of other things, we don't have a military, and frankly, we just won't have a country very long. Here today is a proud American steelworker, fantastic person from Decatur, Alabama. Jeff Denard has been working at the same steel plant for 27 years in a job that has allowed him to serve as the captain of his local volunteer fire department, raise 7 children with his beautiful wife, Nicole, and over the years provide a loving home for more than 40 foster children. So great, Jeff.
Boy from Alabama, man. I'm from Alabama. He's from North Alabama. I'm from Central Alabama.
Thank you, Jeff.
Birmingham.
Stories like Jeff's remind us that tariffs are not just about protecting American jobs. Tariffs are about making America rich
Trump
again
talking
and
that
making
shit.
America
Fuck,
great
nigga.
again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much. No, you're not. Oh. And look where Biden took us. Very low, the lowest we've ever been. Jeff, I want to thank you very much. And I also want to recognize another person who has devoted herself to foster care community. She works so hard on it. A very loving person, our magnificent First Lady of the United States. Melania's work has yielded incredible results, helping prepare our nation's future leaders as they enter the workforce. Our First Lady is joined by 2 impressive young women, very impressive. Haley Ferguson, who benefited from the First Lady's Fostering the Future initiative and is poised to complete her education and become a teacher. And Elliston Berry, who became a victim of an illicit deepfake image produced by a peer. With Elliston's help, the Senate just passed the Take It Down Act, and this is so important. Thank you very much, John. John Thune, thank you. Stand up, John. Thank you, John. Thank you all very much. Thank you. And thank you to John Thune and the Senate. Great job. To criminalize the publication of such images online is terrible, terrible thing. And once it passes the House, I look forward to signing that bill into law. Thank you. And I'm going to use that bill for myself, too, if you don't mind. Because nobody gets treated worse than I do online. Nobody. That's great. Thank you very much to the Senate. Thank you. But if we truly care about protecting Americans' children, no step is more crucial than securing America's borders. Over the past 4 years, 21 million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from the streets of dangerous cities all throughout the world. Because of Joe Biden's insane and very dangerous open border policies, they are now strongly embedded in our country, but we are getting them out and getting them out fast.
Get them fuck niggas up out of here. Look at the Democratic side, bro. They not clapping. They only holding up signs, and they not standing up. They sitting down the whole
And Christy,
time.
I want to thank you and Paul of Border Patrol. I want to thank you.
If I
What
would
a
die,
job
I'd be
they've all
drunk. I
done.
don't care.
Everybody, Border
I'd take me
Patrol,
about 4 or
ICE,
5 shots before I walk up in there.
law
bitch.
enforcement in
Up in that
general is
bitch.
incredible. We have to take care of our law enforcement. Have to. Last year, a brilliant 22-year-old nursing student named Laken Riley, the best in her class, admired by everybody, went out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia. That morning, Laken was viciously attacked, assaulted, beaten, brutalized, and horrifically murdered. Laken was stolen from us by a savage illegal alien gang member who was arrested while trespassing across Biden's open southern border and then set loose into the United States under the heartless policies of that failed administration. It was indeed a failed administration. He had then been arrested and released in a Democrat-run sanctuary city, a disaster, before ending the life of this beautiful young angel. With us this evening are Laken's beloved mother, Allison, and her sister, Lauren.
Stop blinking all the time, bro. You blinking too much, bro. You finna cry. Don't cry.
Last year, I told Laken's grieving parents that we would ensure their daughter would not have died in vain. That's why the very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety. It's a very strong, powerful act. It's called the Laken Riley Act. So Allison and Lauren, America will never, ever forget our beautiful Laken Hope Riley. Thank you very much. Since taking office, my administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history, and we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded. Thank you. The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president. Joe Biden didn't just open our borders, he flew illegal aliens over them to overwhelm our schools, hospitals, and communities throughout the country. Entire towns like Aurora, Colorado, and Springfield, Ohio, buckled under the weight of the migrant occupation and corruption like nobody's ever seen before. Beautiful towns destroyed. Now, just as I promised in my inaugural address, we are achieving the great liberation of America. But there still is much work to be done. Here tonight is a woman I have gotten to know, Alexis Nungari from Houston. Wonderful woman. Last June, Alexis's 12-year-old daughter, her precious Jocelyn, walked to a nearby convenience store. She was kidnapped, tied up, assaulted for 2 hours under a bridge, and horrifically murdered. Arrested and charged with this heinous crime are 2 illegal alien monsters from Venezuela, released into America by the last administration through their ridiculous open border. The death of this beautiful 12-year-old girl and the agony of her mother and family touched our entire nation greatly. Alexis, I promised that we would always remember your daughter, your magnificent daughter, and earlier tonight, I signed an order keeping my word to you. One thing I have learned about Jocelyn is that she loved animals so much. She loved nature. Across Galveston Bay, from where Jocelyn lived in Houston, you will find a magnificent national wildlife refuge, a pristine, peaceful, 34,000-acre sanctuary for all of God's creatures on the edge of the Gulf of America. Alexis, moments ago, I formally renamed that refuge in loving memory of your beautiful daughter, Jocelyn. So, Mr. Vice President, if you would, may I have the order? Thank you very much. All 3 savages charged with Jocelyn and Lakin's murders were members of the Venezuelan prison gang, the toughest gang, they say, in the world, known as Tren de Aragua. 2 weeks ago, I officially designated this gang, along with MS-13 and the bloodthirsty Mexican drug cartels, as foreign terrorist organizations. They are now officially in the same category as ISIS, and that's not good for them. Countless thousands of these terrorists were welcomed into the U.S. by the Biden administration. But now every last one will be rounded up and forcibly removed from our country, or, if they're too dangerous, put in jails, standing trial in this country, because we don't want them to come back ever. With us this evening is a warrior on the front lines of that battle, Border Patrol Agent Roberto Ortiz. Great guy. In January, Roberto and another agent were patrolling by the Rio Grande near an area known as Cartel Island. Doesn't sound too nice to me. When heavily armed gunmen started shooting at them. Roberto saw that his partner was totally exposed, at great danger, and he leapt into action, returning fire and providing crucial seconds for his fellow agent to seek safety, just barely. I have some of the prints of that event, and it was not good. Agent Ortiz, we salute you for your great courage and for your line of fire that you took and for the bravery that you showed. We honor you, and we will always honor you. Thank you, Roberto, very much.
Man, y'all better show Trump some motherfucking respect. Show Trump some respect, bitch. I ain't said nothing in 10 minutes. Bitch, I'm over here drunk.
And I actually got to know him on my many calls to the border. He's a great gentleman. The territory to the immediate south of our border is now dominated entirely by criminal cartels that murder, rape, torture, and exercise total control. They have total control over a whole nation, posing a grave threat to our national security. The cartels are waging war on America, and it's time for America to wage war on the cartels, which we are doing. Five nights ago, Mexican authorities, because of our tariff policies being imposed on them, think of this, handed over to us 29 of the biggest cartel leaders in their country. That has never happened before. They want to make us happy. First time ever. But we need Mexico and Canada to do much more than they've done, and they have to stop the fentanyl and drugs pouring into the USA. They're going to stop it. I have sent Congress a detailed funding request laying out exactly how we will eliminate these threats to protect our homeland and complete the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than current record holder, President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a moderate man, but someone who believed very strongly in borders. Americans expect Congress to send me this funding without delay so I can sign it into law. So, Mr. Speaker, John Thune, both of you, I hope you're going to be able to do that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Leader, thank you. Thank you very much. And let's get it to me. I'll sign it so fast, you won't even believe it. And as we reclaim our sovereignty, we must also bring back law and order to our cities and towns. In recent years, our justice system has been turned upside down by radical left lunatics. Many jurisdictions virtually ceased enforcing the law against dangerous repeat offenders while weaponizing law enforcement against political opponents like me. My administration has acted swiftly and decisively to restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law, starting at the FBI and the DOJ. Pam, good luck. Cash, wherever you may be, good luck. Good luck. Pam Bondi. Good luck. So important. Going to do a great job. Cash, thank you. Thank you, Cash. They've already started very strong. They're going to do a fantastic job. You're going to be very proud of them. We're also once again giving our police officers the support, protection, and respect they so dearly deserve. They have to get it. They have such a hard, dangerous job, but we're going to make it less dangerous. The problem is the bad guys don't respect the law, but they're starting to respect it, and they soon will respect it. This also includes our great fire departments throughout the country. Our firemen and women are unbelievable people, and we'll never forget them. And besides that, they voted for me in record numbers, so I have no choice. One year ago this month, 31-year-old New York police officer Jonathan Diller, unbelievably wonderful person and a great officer, was gunned down at a traffic stop on Long Island. I went to his funeral. The vicious criminal charged with his murder had 21 prior arrests, and they were rough arrests, too. He was a real bad one. The thug in the seat next to him had 14 prior arrests and went by the name of Killer. He was Killer. He killed other people, they say, a lot of them. I attended Officer Diller's service, and when I met his wife and one-year-old son, Ryan, it was very inspirational, actually. His widow's name is Stephanie, and she is here tonight. Stephanie, thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you very much.
He need to goddamn fired on Tuscaloosa County police, motherfucker, and hire a whole new force.
Stephanie, we're going to make sure that Ryan knows his dad was a true hero, New York's finest, and we're going to get these cold-blooded killers and repeat offenders off our streets, so we're going to do it fast. Got to stop it. They get out with 28 arrests. They push people into subway trains. They hit people over the head, back of the head with baseball bats. We got to get them out of here. I've already signed an executive order requiring a mandatory death penalty for anyone who murders a police officer. And tonight I'm asking Congress to pass that policy into permanent law. I'm also asking for a new crime bill getting tough on repeat offenders while enhancing protections for America's police officers so they can do their jobs without fear of their lives being totally destroyed. They don't want to be killed. We're not going to let them be killed. Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police department love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service. DJ. DJ's doctors believe his cancer likely came from a chemical he was exposed to when he was younger. Since 1975, rates of child cancer have increased by more than 40%. Reversing this trend is one of the top priorities for our new presidential commission to make America healthy again, chaired by our new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. With the name Kennedy, you would have thought everybody over here would have been cheering. How quickly they forget. Our goal is to get toxins out of our environment, poisons out of our food supply, and keep our children healthy and strong. As an example, not long ago, and you can't even believe these numbers, 1 in 10,000 children had autism, 1 in 10,000. And now it's 1 in 36. There's something wrong, 1 in 36, think of that. So we're gonna find out what it is, and there's nobody better than Bobby and all of the people that are working with you. You have the best to figure out what is going on. Okay, Bobby, good luck. It's a very important job, thank you. Thank you. My administration is also working to protect our children from toxic ideologies in our schools. A few years ago, January Littlejohn and her husband discovered that their daughter's school had secretly socially transitioned their 13-year-old little girl. Teachers and administrators conspired to deceive January and her husband while encouraging her daughter to use a new name and pronouns. They, them pronoun, actually, all without telling January, who is here tonight and is now a courageous advocate against this form of child abuse. January, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
This motherfucking male and female motherfucker. I'm watching along with y'all, man. It's 166,000 people on this network, plus us, man.
Thank you. Stories like this are why, shortly after taking office, I signed an executive order banning public schools from indoctrinating our children with transgender ideology.
Who the fuck want their son to be a transgender? My son is my son, man. My daughter is my daughter.
I also signed an order to cut off all taxpayer funding to any institution that engages in the sexual mutilation of our youth. And now I want Congress to pass a bill permanently banning and criminalizing sex changes on children and forever ending the lie that any child is trapped in the wrong body. This is a big lie.
You're a boy, you're a boy. You're a girl, you're a girl. Man, gay
And our message to every child in America is that you are perfect exactly the way God made you.
How could them Democrats sit down doing that?
Because we're getting wokeness out of our schools and out of our military, and it's already out, and it's out of our society. We don't want it. Wokeness is trouble. Wokeness is bad. It's gone. It's gone. And we feel so much better for it, don't we? Don't we feel better? Our service members won't be activists and ideologues. They will be fighters and warriors. They will fight for our country. And Pete, congratulations. Secretary of Defense, congratulations. he's not big into the woke movement, I can tell you. I know him well. I am pleased to report that in January, the U.S. Army had its single best recruiting month in 15 years, and that all armed services are having among the best recruiting results ever in the history of our services. What a difference. And you know, it was just a few months ago where the results were exactly the opposite. We couldn't recruit anywhere. We couldn't recruit. Now we're having the best results just about that we've ever had. What a tremendous turnaround. It's really a beautiful thing to see. People love our country again. It's very simple. They love our country and they love being in our military again. So it's a great thing, and thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. We're joined tonight by a young man, Jason Hartley, who knows the weight of that call of duty. Jason's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all wore the uniform. Jason tragically lost his dad, who was also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy when he was just a boy, and now he wants to carry on the family legacy of service. Jason is a senior in high school, a 6-letter varsity athlete, a really good athlete, they say, a brilliant student with a 4.46, that's good, GPA. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. And Jason, that's a very big deal getting in. That's a hard one to get into. But I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets. Thank you. Jason, you're going to be on the long gray line, Jason. As Commander-in-Chief, my focus is on building the most powerful military of the future. As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA. And Ronald Reagan wanted to do it long ago, but the technology just wasn't there, not even close. But now we have the technology. It's incredible, actually. And other places, they have it. Israel has it. Other places have it. And the United States should have it too, right, Tim, right? They should have it too. So I want to thank you. But it's a very, very important. This is a very dangerous world. We should have it. We want to be protected, and we're going to protect our citizens like never before. To boost our defense industrial base, we are also going to resurrect the American shipbuilding industry, including commercial shipbuilding and military shipbuilding. And for that purpose, I am announcing tonight that we will create a new Office of Shipbuilding in the White House and offer special tax incentives to bring this industry home to America where it belongs. We used to make so many ships. We don't make them anymore very much.
Hey, look.
But we're going to make them very fast.
I'm going to cut it off right there, man.
We'll have a huge impact.
There you have it, man. Donald
Further
J.
enhance
Trump,
our national
man.
security.
He
My
doing his motherfucking
administration will be
thing, man.
reclaiming the
If
Panama
you hating on this
Canal,
shit, then you must be a op, man. You be a op of this country, man. The power out right now. I got some candles lit. It's storming outside real bad. All the power went out. But
announced
I got
they are
power. I got
buying
juice.
both ports around the Panama
Man, y'all
Canal,
take care of
and
yourself,
lots of
man.
other things having to do with the Panama Canal
United
and a
States of
couple of other
America,
canals.
man.
The Panama
God
Canal
bless
was built
all.
by Americans
Fuck it.
for
Let's do it.